Thanks for making it back to Veterans Info Tap. You know, this morning I did a video on Nexus and Nexus Letters and kind of what the difference is and all that stuff. And then I got to thinking again, you know, it might be time to do another video on making sure that you set yourself up to get the right rating, right? You could throw the best claim out there to establish your service connection, right? And that's important, right? You want to get service connected. You need that to happen. But there's oftentimes not enough thought put into establishing the correct information to provide you with the right rating, okay? You could throw it all together, get service connected, and get a 0%, but do you really deserve a 0? You may, but you might not, okay? For example, I filed a claim once, not prepared, right? Learned the hard way. This is one of my first claims. Actually, it was my first. It's my second claim. My first one was completely denied, and I walked away and threw my hands up and said, forget everybody. Then it took me, 15 years or so in order to file my next claim. And I filed that. They came back with a 0%, but this time I was older and I had a little more time to think about, this is BS and I'm going to fight this. And I figured it out and I submitted my appeal, and then I ended up getting a 60%. So they went from 0 to 60. Huge, right? So that is how dramatic the swing can be for us as veterans when we're filing our compensation claims if we don't give them the right information up front. And sadly, how many of us are blind and go, not literally blind, but blind to what's actually available depending on the different ratings and what needs to be shown. Do we know that they rated us correctly or not? Do we just take it for what they said and just walk away? How many of us turn around and appeal it because we know for a fact that the VA got it wrong? Well, I'll tell you what, it's all available online. It's the schedule of ratings by the VA. And the schedule of ratings by the VA is the window into exactly what the VA is looking for to provide each individual rating for each condition. And it is not that difficult to figure out where you should be. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit more here, but please hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. It's really important that you do so because it helps to get the information out there, right? So the schedule of ratings, and I've done videos on this in the past, and it really truly is, in my opinion, the most important thing that you can invest any time in when you're filing your claim. And there's kind of two ways to do it. You can kind of do it the short-changey way, right? If you're a little bit more of a shortcutty type of a person and you don't want to put in a lot of effort, which I don't fully suggest, but at a minimum, there is this option. In order to set yourself up the best with your claim when it comes to getting the correct rating, my suggestion is, number one, file an intent to file. That buys you time for any back pay. So you file your intent to file, that lasts 12 months, and as long as you file your claim within 12 months of that intent to file, then what happens is the VA will back pay you all the way back to that intent to file date once they make that successful claim decision for you. So that buys you time, takes the pressure off, and you're not trying to rush to get your claim in because we all get trigger happy when it comes to filing claims. So take some of that pressure off, knowing that you have that intent to file in place and that you'll get that big back pay all the way back there. So that's number one. Number two is take the time to develop your claim. And what I mean by that is get all the evidence you need. You are going to court, essentially, is what's happening. And really, you kind of are. It's just that everything prior to court is a settling out of court approach. If you don't settle out of court, then you take it to the Board of Appeals and you're seen by a judge, right? So this really is a legal process in which you need to take it seriously and prepare as though you're going to court. So take the time to develop your claim and provide all the evidence necessary to rule in your favor. And not just rule in your favor, but give you the correct ruling in regard to your rating. So number one is you want to make sure that you are supplying all the evidence that you need to have a successful claim in the area of service connection. That's number one. You want to make sure that you are going to get service connected. That's the number one thing. So that is, you have a time in service, you have your active duty time or reserves in some cases, right, where you can find things that you can use. You have your diagnosed condition that's chronic or has residual effects, and you have your nexus showing that it had manifested or is as a result of or whatever during your time in service. And so you got all those bases covered, and you know that you are going to be service connected. So now you've got all that evidence ready. You have not filed your claim yet. You're still gathering all your evidence to give it to the VA. Now you're also looking into the schedule of ratings for your specific condition. So whether it's an injury or GERD or migraine headaches or whatever it is, right? You find your condition and you read. Some of these things it is what it is, right? Like tinnitus, for an example. You got ringing in the ear, okay, it's 10%. That's it. There is no ups and downs. Sleep apnea, if you have a CPAP machine, you're going to be rated at 50%, okay, currently. If you have migraine headaches, though, there might be a few things that you need to qualify for or annotate or mention or talk about in order to be in a certain rating category. So you need to read each line. Okay, here's the line for 10%, here it is for 30%, and here it is for 50% rating. Read each one, and whichever one is you, look, you're the patient. You know how you are feeling and how often you exhibit migraine, how much they lay you out. Does it affect your earning capacity? Are you taking time off of work? Are you taking longer to get things done? Are you taking non-paid time off? Is it affecting your ability to hold down a job? Whatever, right? So you know where you fall, and in the schedule of ratings, it tells you exactly what they're looking for each rating category. So are you a 10% or are you a 50% or are you a 30%? Only you know what you should be, so read it. Number two, let's look at GERD. So with GERD, bad heartburn, if you just say, it's just heartburn, well, then you might be a 0% or a 10%, right? But if you have many more kind of issues regarding your GERD, like difficulty swallowing, maybe some vomit, maybe some regurgitation. Oh, by the way, that's two different things. Regurgitation and vomit are two different categories for the 60% rating. So you need to know this type of stuff in order to articulate it if you have it. So if you have difficulty swallowing, you have vomit, you have regurgitation, you have substernum pain, you have pain that shoots off into your shoulder, you have maybe some weight loss, you have these types of things, you could be closer to the 60% rating, right? So you would want to read everything and go, okay, yes, that is me, or no, it's not. I don't have all those things. But guess what? This next one, I have all of that, so maybe I'm a 30%. So you need to know where you're at with each condition. Then you could go to your doctor with the DBQ, the disability questionnaire, and have them complete it, and you articulate to the doctor the same things that you have in the rating schedule, so the doctor puts that same information into your DBQ. So I know that I'm at this rating at 30% for this, and I know that I'm at a 10% or a 20% for that, and I know that I'm at a 40% for that. You want to make sure all of that information gets put into your different DBQs, because you're trying to make it easy for the VA to rule accordingly. So now that you've got your DBQs done, now here's the other piece. You're not available to sit there with your doctor during them filling out the DBQ. They just want you to drop it off. They'll complete it and get it back to you. Well, guess what? You are the patient. You know you better than anybody. So you could write down a few things about your situation that you would like the doctor to articulate into that DBQ for you, because you're not there for them to ask you the question directly. Take the liberty of answering the questions for them on a separate piece of paper, so you can share with them as the patient how you are feeling regarding your condition. then the doctor can then complete that DBQ appropriately. Now you have the DBQs, and you submit that along with all your other evidence for your claim. Then when you get ready for your CNP exam, you're going to be ready because you already know what the rating schedule says. The CNP exam is essentially the same thing as completing the DBQ. They're trying to figure out where you're going to fall as far as your rating is concerned. So when you go to the CNP exam, you're going to make sure that you articulate the same information that you are in line with on the schedule of rating, so that way the CNP examiner can annotate that and put it into that exam for you and submit that to the VA rater, who is then going to read it, and guess what? They're going to read all of the evidence that you submitted. They're going to read that CNP exam, and what are they going to do? They're going to compare it to the schedule of ratings that you already looked at. And they're going to go, it's pretty clear this person's a 40% for this one. All right. Oh, it's pretty clear they're a 30% for this one. Oh, and it's pretty clear they're a 10% for that one. And they're going to close the book, and then they're going to go ahead and issue your rating, and you're going to be golden. So it's all about understanding what the VA is looking for, understand where you are with your condition, and making sure that the doctors are out there describing you appropriately when it comes to your VA claim, so that way it can be assigned the appropriate rating. So with that, I'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.